Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Inside LSU Baseball. I'm your host, Jason Armstrong, and boy, is it a great day to be an LSU Tiger fan. My goodness, what a wild week it has been. LSU has gone unblemished through the right side of the bracket. They're going to face off with America's sweetheart, Coastal Carolina, in the finals. And before we look at Coastal and really dig into that team and some of the challenge they present and just kind of, maybe my thoughts and feeling of this series, how it's going to play out, let's take a look back at the LSU's path through the College World Series thus far. Doesn't it seem like the game one, the opening game against Arkansas, was like an eternity ago? It's just such a weird week. Everything's so blurry at this point. But we'll take it with the Tigers being 3-0. And I want to just say also that it feels really good to finally end Arkansas season. And I don't say that to be mean. They're a great team. And obviously with them out of the way, you were gonna have to run through them as soon as we saw the brackets. But I just think that was the toughest task LSU was going to have, and I'm also, glad that this whole Arkansas is the most talented team in the nation business is over now. We don't have to hear that. Winning 4 out of 5 games is a loud statement for LSU to make against Arkansas this year. So, and I don't understand. It's, why some of the biggest college baseball publications and folks I really like and listen to all their podcasts and subscribe to all their content, why it seems so much like they're nitpicking LSU and doubting their offense one week and the next week it's the bullpen. It's kind of been a constant throughout the postseason, which never makes sense to me. I mean, I've listened to some of my favorite people, tell me that West Virginia could present major problems for LSU's pitching, and then how the Division II transfer Griffin Kern is the type of pitcher to give LSU trouble because they don't hit lefties, and it was just kind of like all throughout this postseason, and then LSU beats Arkansas game 1 and of the World Series, and I'm listening to one of my favorite podcasts again, and they're pointing out how LSU struck out 16 times, and that's not sustainable for them to stick around in the World Series. It's just, what? Like, what about the 3-run second inning against Arkansas's ace, an All-American pitcher? How about Arkansas being held to less than 2 runs for the first time the entire year? So I don't know. And then game 2 versus Arkansas, that they just beat them or played them. It was more love towards Arkansas in the lead up to the game. It was on and on about the great bullpen of Arkansas. I felt like LSU was in they were in the driver's seat. They were in a great spot, but all the focus again was how good a shape Arkansas is in, even though they had to battle through the losers bracket. I mean, didn't understand that at all. I mean, we've heard all year about Arkansas's bullpen. It honestly, I thought it didn't look that great outside of Gabe Gackle. I mean, they relied on the same, couple of guys. This whole World Series, it seemed like they left a lot of guys on that bench, and I mean, poor Gabe Gackle's arm about falling off out there, and they've got guys like Parker Coyle, Ben Bybee, what's his Dylan? Not Stewart. Is it Dylan something? Anyway, all these guys that it's like they didn't have confidence in using them. So, I mean, I don't know, but the Tigers in their season, and this is the last thing I'll say on that. And so you feel like, okay, we're free from all the Arkansas talk now. LSU will get their love, and we'll start hearing about all the good things and about LSU team. Wrong. This is an actual quote from the finals preview episode that, a certain publication put out. They said, talking about LSU's, talking about some LSU question marks still, the bullpen, which I think is going to be a concern as you go into the Coastal Series. They actually said that. The bullpen, which I think is still going to be a concern as you go into the Coastal Series, and the other host replies, yep, like very emphatically. Like, what are you guys talking about? Who's not trustworthy in this LSU bullpen? Have y'all not watched the last 3 games? I just don't get it. And I'm not sure why it bothers me. I just feel like these, hearing all these holes and people like LSU is playing for the finals. In the finals, they've been the most consistent SEC team the entire year. They've never lost 2 straight series, and I think that they deserve a little bit more credit than constantly doubting them. But you know what? None of that really matters at this point. I mean, I'm sure they don't care. It's just me who cares. But let's talk about the play on the field. So, starting back to game 1 of the CWS, the story of game 1 was the starting pitching of Cade Anderson and the 3-run second inning, which knocked out Arkansas ace Zach Root from the game. LSU laid off some really close and good pitches from Zach Root in that second inning. And after a walk by Curiel and Hernandez, Danny Dickinson laid down like a drag bunt that he beat out finally. He tries to do that all the time, finally worked. And then Chris Stanfield smoked it wasn't too hard, but a single out to left field that made it 1-0. Zach Root then plunked Michael Braswell, bringing the second run. And then Josh Pearson hit a ground ball and then beat out a double play. So, it was 3-0 at that point. Scored 3 runs early. Gabe Gackle was really tough on LSU's offense. I mean, I alluded to it. LSU struck out 16 times total. He struck him out 10 times in 6 innings. The only run Gackle was charged on his, I guess, stat line was in the 8th inning. Curiel got on base. He singled. They brought in Gibbler, and I think that's when no, I'm sorry. Curiel singled somebody in. Was it Milam in the 8th inning? And no, it couldn't have been Milam. Yeah, it was, because that's when he was batting. Curiel was batting 7th. I think it was Milam. And that run, anyway, was charged to Gackle, even though he wasn't in the game when it happened. So, the Hogs' lone run came off of a solo home run from Robinette in, I think it was the 6th inning or so. But Anderson was great. Chase Shores, Kason Evans looked really impressive, closing out the final 2 innings. I mean, Anderson's stat line was 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. I mean, that's impressive, man. The second time he's facing this offense, Chase Shores comes in, just his first pitch didn't look great. Was it this game that the first pitch he threw was a slider that went to the backstop and they advanced, but then he, I think he got 2 big strikeouts, what it was. Kason Evans closed out the 9th inning. So just a really great win, a big win. Winning that first game so important. This is another thing. I tweeted out prior to this game, and I really asked it more of like a rhetorical question, but I did believe it, that, will Jay Johnson go to Anthony Ianson if LSU's up in the 8th inning? And a lot of people, seem to think that was a crazy question. Well, Ianson was warming up in the 8th inning. So this time of year, every win is so important, and getting that first win was monumental for LSU. Now, game 2 was a little bit funky. Ianson's start was cut short due to the rain delay, and it didn't matter in the end. I know a lot of people were bent out of shape about how the NCAA handled it. Who cares? These players don't care. You're better than UCLA. But after an 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts opening game, Jared Jones drove in 4 runs. Right-hander Kason Evans pitched 4 in the 3rd, and it was really good relief innings. LSU wins 9-5 over UCLA. UCLA took an early lead. They scored 3 runs in the 1st inning. LSU came right back. After Curiel grounded out on the first pitch of the game, I'm pretty sure, LSU rattled off 4 straight hits, including a 3-run bomb by Jared Jones. So you had Curriell grounded out first pitch of the game. Then Ethan Fry singled up the middle. Milam singled down the line. Jake Brown singled. And then Jones homered. So just like that, it's 4-3, which was a huge, answer to that early lead. So the Tigers extended the lead to 5-3 in the third when Hernandez delivered a 2-out single. And man, has he been good. LSU scored 2 more runs in the bottom of the fourth. And that was on Tuesday morning. That's when Stephen Milam and Jake Brown both lined RBI singles. Tigers added another run in the seventh on an RBI single by Danny Dickinson, making it 8-3. UCLA did cut the lead to 8-5 in the eighth, and things were looking very interesting. I was not okay. All right. 4 of the 5 batters faced by Cooper Williams reached base, but Chase Shores entered the game and he got it done. I think this was one of the biggest pitches so far of this College World Series for LSU. It is an 8-5 game in the 8th inning. Remember, you've already used Cade Anderson. You've already used Anthony Ianson. You've already used Kason Evans twice at this point. And now Chase Shores comes in. It is an 8-5 game with the bases loaded. Like, you're talking like a single brings it to a 1-run game. And the first pitch Chase Shores throws against Phoenix Call, who was like the 9-hole hitter, right-handed hitter, sophomore, was a slider. And it was an amazing pitch because Call was out front. He grounded it to shortstop. LSU gets out the inning. But that was such a big pitch because I think right there, if you go back to the game before, when Chase Shores came in the game against Arkansas, the first pitch he threw was a slider that went like 2 feet out into the other batter's box and allowed I think it was Thomas Jr. to advance all the way to third base on a pass ball. But so now he comes out and it's like, does he have confidence to start off with that? Because Phoenix Call is sitting fastball. And when you're throwing 100 and a guy's gearing up for a fastball and he puts any contact on it, there's no telling what's going to happen to that ball. So wonderful pitch. LSU winds up getting out the inning and then holds on for a 9-5 lead. Again, some of the heroes of the game, Jared Jones was 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs. Jake Brown was incredible, 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. The Tigers had 12 hits, so really good offensive game after an Arkansas game that was just really, wasn't a whole lot going on, especially after that second inning. So now I am not even sure. So LSU wins 2 games. They're in the driver's seat. They got to be beat twice. I'm not even sure still what I witnessed Wednesday night. It was one of the craziest games I have ever seen. All right. All right. So I think about 2022. LSU's in the Hattiesburg Regional in the opening round against Kennesaw State. They are down 11-4 in the 8th inning, and LSU winds up coming back. They win that game 14-11, but that was an insane game, all right? 2023, the game that this was the Paul Skeens versus Rhett Lauder game. Winner goes to the finals. And Tommy Tanks hits the home run in it was a 9th inning or extra inning. I can't remember at this point, but we win 2-0. Unbelievably insane game. Completely dramatics were off the board. There was that in 2023. 2024, you got to remember, LSU going into Hoover, they needed to win some games. It wasn't like they were 13-17, and they needed to win some games to solidify a chance in the postseason. Now, they won their first game against, I believe, Georgia. They won against Kentucky. So it looked like they were going to make the tournament at this point. But it was still like a big deal. Like, you wanted to win. And that game that they played, I think this was to get to the finals, I want to say, that LSU was down 8-0 against South Carolina. And they wound up winning it 13-12 in extra innings on a Stephen Milam walk-off homer. That game was insane. If you remember, They had that play like in the ninth inning where South Carolina tried to steal home. And because Brady Neal came out in front of home plate, I think they gave the guy the run, so LSU was down, and it took Milam. I want to say, was it Travinsky that led off getting on base, maybe walked, and then Milam hit the home run to left center field, and that was an insane game. And then you turn around a week later, and LSU is down against Wofford, and it's like a shocker, another first-round game against a lesser seed, and Monster Milam hits the walk-off home run, and it was just, once again, just completely insane. So these are some of the most crazy games in the Jay Johnson era. This game that we just saw Wednesday night against Arkansas is right up there with him, if not at the top of them. So just an incredible game. But aside from all the theatrics, and we don't have to rehash all the things that happened because you watched it. You probably watched the YouTube highlights 20 times like I did. But some of the things that stood out to me the most, Zach Cowan, after 6 weeks of not great outings, okay, he was spectacular. And if you went back 6 weeks and you said, hey, Arkansas has got to beat you twice in Omaha, and you've got Zach Cowan hasn't pitched yet, anybody would have taken that. LSU would have been favored. But because Zach Cowan has had some rough outings, we really didn't know what to expect. But I had never given up on Cowan. I mean, I've been vocal about that. I just think he needed some confidence. He's got still such a unique pitch mix that a team like Arkansas is not used to seeing. And just right off the bat, his changeup right on right was amazing. He could throw it to where, a lot of times that right on right changeup's going to almost like tumble down and in. He was getting that pitch on the outside corner, and they just couldn't do anything about it. So he was spectacular. His slider kept them honest. His fastball had some good pop at 92. He didn't throw many things right down the middle. So good on him. Jaden Newt retired all 3 batters that he faced. And listen to the 3 batters that Jaden Newt retired. Ryder Helfrich got him to fly out. He's an incredible hitter. Cam Koziel, one of the scariest hitters in that lineup, struck him out, which got the Tigers out of the 6th inning with a runner on third, as a matter of fact. And then Jaden Newt, which I think a lot of people were surprised when Newt ran out on the mound in the 7th inning. And he got Kahio Aloy to ground out to start the 7th. So not only did he go, what was it? Was it an inning in a third? No, it's 1 inning. Yeah, 1 inning. But the 3 guys he got out are really scary hitters. So great job by Newt. And he had the all of his pitches working, and he was up to 96 with the fastball. That's a really good sign going forward. All right. Now, another one, Chase Shores. His numbers don't look great, but he pitched better than the box score indicates. Brian Thomas Jr. and Aloy both singled off of a slider, which, man, kudos to them. I mean, because the Thomas, is it Thompson or Thomas? Brian Thomas Jr., like he had 1 strike on him, and Chase Shores out there throwing 100. And for him to be able to sit on that slider and hit it to left field, really good job by him. And then Aloy with 2 strikes after getting 1 fastball blown by him. I think the other one's fastball. Shores comes back with a slider down, and he got a base hit off of it too. So that was just good hitting. And then Robinette and Iredale hit 100-mile-an-hour fastballs that were both up in the zone in the 9th inning to get on base. So just, Arkansas just saved some of their hits to the end of the game. But Chase Shores did get the ground ball he was looking for to potentially escape that with that lead. But it was kind of a big hop. And, we tried to turn 2 with Braswell, and Dickinson kind of threw it a little bit down. They charged Jones with an error. I think that was a rough call. But anyway, they scored 2 runs on that play because with 2 on contact, the guys were moving. So they scored 2. So they were able to go up 3-2 there. But anyway, Jacob Myers is the other one that stood out. He needs some love here. After allowing that first pitch breaking ball, that Thomas Jr. again hit a 2-run or 2 RBI single, Myers buckled down. He struck out Davalon and Eloy, keeping the game at 5-3. Look, he could have easily imploded, started throwing balls over the back, hitting the backstop, missing, but like everything he threw was around the plate. Everything but that first pitch he hung that resulted in 2 runs, he was really good. And guess what? Getting out of there, 5-3 is what allowed LSU to come back. So now I don't know where to start offensively in that game because there was so many good stories. Jake Brown's pinch hit, 2 RBI single, gave the Tigers a 2-1 lead in the 6th. Unbelievable job by Brown. Jared Jones, 5 straight strikeouts versus Gabe Gackle prior to the home run. That was huge and tied the game at 3. I think it was with 2 outs, if I'm not mistaken, in the 8th inning. Down 5-3. Let me see, make sure I've got this right. It was the last, was it the ninth inning where LSU's down? Yeah, 5-3. Curiel with 2 strikes battles and gets on base. All right. That was with 1 out. Battles, gets on base. They make the errant throw, so he gets a second. Fry then worked a great walk. And the thing about Ethan Fry, I saw a graphic where in the postseason, he is tied for the most bases on balls with 11. So maybe, he's not coming up with 2-3 hits a game every game, but man, he is putting up some great at-bats. And by him getting on base right there, that's what allowed when Hernandez struck, a ball over 100 miles per hour out to left field, got us the 2 runs we needed to tie the game. So awesome job by Hernandez. And then again, Jones shows great discipline, laying off 2 sliders down and away from Jimenez. And he just really had a great look at those sliders. The next one, the 2-1 pitch Jimenez threw, wasn't as good of a spot, but Jones kind of went down with that back knee and just flicked it, did just enough of it. So many good success stories from this offense of late. And I want to say this. This offense has been really spectacular at the end of games. Over the 3 games they've played in Omaha, all right, the offense has scored in 5 of their final 6 frames, okay? So what I mean, the last 2 at-bats of the game for LSU, all right? And I would say it was the 8th and 9th of each game, but in one of those games, LSU didn't need the bat in the 9th, so the 7th and 8th of the game, I believe it was against UCLA, I think it was maybe. But my point is this. In their final 2 at-bats of each game, LSU scored 5 of the 6. So they're putting up runs in the 8th inning, the 9th inning of all these games, which is really, really reassuring to see them do that. And that just puts so much pressure on the other team. Making them get 27 outs is a real deal. So just a massive, massive win. It was one of the most fun wins. I was really banged up the next day. My throat hurt, didn't have my voice. I'm still kind of struggling for my voice, but and it sets up LSU's pitching, and it's going to be a best on best series. So everyone is rested, and now, in addition to having Ianson and Cade Anderson ready to go in their starts, Cowan is back in the circle of trust. All right, he's going to be ready for Saturday, not Saturday, probably Monday, if there is a Monday, or Sunday, okay? As well as Newt and Myers. You just put them in the College World Series in an extremely tight game, and they both really did a really good job. I mean, you could say Myers gave up the 2 runs, but look, it was 1 pitch. He didn't put those guys on, and then he buckled down. But, that's got to give them good confidence. Both of them threw strikes. Both of them had more than just 1 pitch. And so that's very confidence-inspiring for, Nate Yeske and Jay Johnson. So far, LSU has used 8 arms in the College World Series. And the staff overall has a 3.33 ERA. Anderson and Cowan had awesome starts. Ianson, he started off a little shaky, but he seemed to be settling in. And what was very evident early on was that slider, that one that's like mid to upper 80s. It didn't have any bite. And then as that next inning, he started getting it down. When it's good, there's not a whole lot of belly to it. It's just like, looks like a fastball drops off the table and you get a lot of swing and miss in the dirt. And so he was getting better. So his line wasn't really good, but I think that he was certainly settling down. So, but look, Evans has been awesome. He's had 2 appearances. He closed out game 1, and then he was instrumental giving that 4 1/3 relief against UCLA and really preserving the rest of the bullpen. Shores was fantastic in 2 of his appearances, and he did allow the runs in the Arkansas last one, I talked about that, but the ones before that, he didn't give up a run. And I mean, this guy's coming out here blowing 100 with a nasty slider. So love where our pitching staff is right now. The defense continues to show out. The box score will show 3 errors in that last game against Arkansas, but you're talking about a catcher's interference, a throw down to second that got away from Hernandez and Milam, and a bang double play attempt that they, the throw got away from Jones and he slipped so he couldn't try to throw the runner out at home. But like Brazzi continues to make great plays on slow rollers. He's initiating double plays. Milam's the best shortstop I've ever seen. My goodness. And Dickinson just continues to make every play. He's not always the smoothest, doesn't look very fluid, but like he makes all the plays. So I love this defense. And they're going to be challenged by Coastal. That is for sure. Now, offensively, the Tigers have really found something. Different guys keep stepping up, and anyone is capable of beating teams, except maybe Braswell right now, but that's okay. We love Braswell. We love his glove. He did hit 2 balls hard against UCLA, but look, he's in a major slump, but that's all right. I'll take his defense, and if you get late in games with the lead, maybe, or you're behind and you need a bat, maybe you can go to Tanner Reeves, but like, you're up by a run or 2. Like, I'm fine with keeping his glove at third base. But anyway, I talked about just the versatility. I mean, look, obviously the greatest sign for this LSU offense is what's been going on all postseason. That's Milam. He's continuing to do his whole postseason thing. Same for Curiel, and then Jared Jones, of course. Jake Brown looks like maybe the best hitter on the team, especially against right-handed pitching, which, by the way, all of Coastal Carolina's starting pitching are right-handed pitching. And then, look, Luis Hernandez, he had a hit in all 3 games so far, and he's only struck out 1 time, which is big. So if you want to look at individual kind of, Derek Curiel is 4 for 11 in the College World Series so far. Look, Ethan Fry's only 2 for 10, but he's got 4 walks in the College World Series. Jake Brown is 4 for 6 with 4 RBIs. Jared Jones is 5 for 14 with 6 RBIs and 2 home runs, but like that's after an 0 for 5 game 1. He is 5 for 9 with 6 RBIs and 2 home runs the last 2 games. Milam's 4 for 12. Hernandez is 3 for 10 with 3 RBIs and 3 free passes and only 1 strikeout. I mentioned that already. That's big. Dickinson's got a couple of doubles. He's 3 for 11. So overall, the team's batting .272 in Omaha, 28 for 103. It's not like eye-popping, but like they're doing enough. They're doing enough. Now, unless you have been living under a rock, you are very aware of this 26-game winning streak, how great the pitching is for Coastal Carolina, and on and on and on and on and on. So as we enter now, we're going to break down kind of Coastal and what to expect. Now, look, are they good? Is Coastal good? Yes. Are they hot? Yes, absolutely. Am I scared? No, not at all. All right. I'm going to give you a very fair and objective overview of this Coastal Carolina team, the Chanticleers. Any team who goes 56-11, I think it is, is a good team. But I said it before the bracket began, and I still mean it. LSU and Arkansas, I thought they were always set up unbelievably well to win this whole thing, and I still believe that. Now LSU is the one in position, and I like their chances. So when you look at Coastal Carolina, there isn't one offensive category where Coastal pops off the page. Of the 8 College World Series teams, Coastal Carolina entered dead last in slugging, 7 out of 8 in walk percentage. So they don't walk a lot at all. Their strikeout percentage is right at 20%. That's not really good. And versus lefties, Coastal Carolina ranks 267 out of 307 Division I teams in strikeout percentage. Bad news. Kate Anderson leads the nation in strikeouts. So they have, let's see here, 66 home runs is dead last of the 8 World Series teams and good for 107th in the nation. I don't believe they've left the yard yet in Omaha. They have struck out 29 times in 3 games. I want to, is that strikeouts? I want to say they've struck out 10 times, 12 times, and 7 times. I'll come back to that. But not one hitter has an OPS over 1,000. And OPS is, remember, the stat that combines a player's ability to get on base along with their ability to hit for extra bases. So for reference, LSU and even like Arkansas have 3 players over 1,000 OPS, that 1,000 mark. So, and look, keep in mind, this isn't apples to apples when you compare an opponent like Arkansas to Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is facing Marshall and App State and Old Dominion and UL Monroe and Georgia State. They are not used to seeing arms like they are going to see this weekend. Even in the postseason, I mean, whether it's ECU or Auburn or Arizona or Oregon State or even Louisville, it's been a lot of like Sam Dutton types. Or look, I love Arizona's pitching, but like Kramkowski, Hicks, Tony Pluta, these aren't like power arms, all right? And LSU is going to come with some power arms. So look, maybe they'll do fine. Maybe they'll hit just fine against LSU, but I have my doubts. So, and if you just look at like all the offensive statistics, all of the 8 College World Series teams, I mean, Coastal is average. They're number 80 in the country in scoring at 7.5 runs a game. They're batting .290 on the year, which is number 89. They do have a top 50 on-base percentage, but like slugging, the walk percentage, strikeout percentage, home runs, doubles, very low, not good. So what does this offense do well for Coastal? To be fair, they have swung the bat decent in Omaha, scoring 24 runs on 30 hits. In their 3 games, they're batting .300, 30 for 100. They lead the nation with 176 hit by pitch, okay? So that is something they do very well. They have 6 players with 15 or more hit by pitches. Only Danny Dickinson has at least 15 for LSU, and he leads the team with 23. I mentioned Coastal does have a top 50 on-base percentage with 409. For reference, LSU's is number 34 at 413 on-base percentage. And then Coastal does have 108 stolen bases, which is 45th in the country. So, but like I do look at some things, and as I look at their offense, like if you look at them individually, they have one superstar, Caden Bodine. He is incredible, all right? Bodine, and that's the catcher, who's going to be a first rounder, and Blake Barthel are the 2 best players by a mile, all right? Those are the 2 players capable of leaving the yard at any time, and they have been big time players for years now. I think 3 years, both of them are juniors, I want to say. Um, is Bodine a junior? But anyway, those are two very good players. All right, Caden Bodines, again, he was a preseason All-American. He's hitting 326 with 18 doubles on the year. He's walked 47 times with just 23 strikeouts. He only has a 7% strikeout rate. And he hits from the left side. So he's been batting leadoff. 3 for 13 in the College World Series, so not great, but he was big time against Auburn in the Super Regionals. Their left fielder, Sebastian Alexander, who has been batting, I think, 2-hole. He's batting 314 with 10 home runs. He does, he's got 27 stolen bases, so he can swing it, but he's not like a guy that, has been a producer year in, for years now. It's just, there's a lot of these guys that this is their best year. I mentioned Blake Barthel, the second baseman. He's batting 283, which is the lowest average he's had in his 3 years. He's usually a 300 hitter. He does have 12 home runs, and he's struck out 70 times. So he bats from the left side. He is a strikeout risk. He's their second best player easily. He was a freshman All-American in 2023. He's 4 for 11 in the College World Series. He's got 2 doubles, 3 RBIs. So he's been really good. Couple other guys, that you might be familiar with. Blagan Pato, only batting 269 with 8 home runs on the year, but he is 11 for 28. That's 393 in the postseason. He's the guy who hit 2 home runs against Auburn in Game 1. He's 3 for 11 in the postseason, doesn't have an extra base hit, and he has struck out 6 times. So now, a couple of guys have been really hot in the World Series. That first baseman, Colby Thorndike, he's hitting 314 on the year, got 18 doubles, batting 344 in the postseason, but he's 5 for 12 with 8 RBIs and 2 doubles in Omaha. So that's the left-handed hitting first baseman. Usually bats like in that, I want to say like 5 or 6 hole. Dean Mijos was batting leadoff at the beginning of the year. He's gotten injured, so he's DHing now. But batting 324 in the year, 12 doubles. He only started the opening game of the regionals, and then he's missed some time. But, in the College World Series, he's 5 for 12. He's got 3 RBIs, a double, a triple. So, look, all that matters is, are you stepping up at this time of year? Like, it doesn't matter how good Chris Stanfield was in the, Texas series. It matters, like, how's he hitting now, right? So, but Thorndike and Mijos seem to be, like, some of their hottest hitters of late. Ty Dooley, you always want to be good up the middle, catcher, shortstop, center field. Ty Dooley, is a guy, he's batting 296 with 6 home runs. He is a guy with 3 years of playing time, good player. Only batting 214 in the postseason, and he's 3 for 11 in Omaha. But one guy that has caught my attention, there's their center fielder, Wells Sykes, that he bats in the 9-hole, 18 stolen bases on the year. Having a good postseason, batting 333. He's a Citadel transfer, so another 3-year guy with lots of experience. He puts the ball in play. 0 walks, 0 strikeouts in Omaha, 3 for 10 with 2 RBIs and a double. So he's putting the ball in play. But like, when you look at this team, like, I can look at LSU and go, okay, Jared Jones is a star. He's a pro player. Derek Curiel. Danny Dickinson's going to be a pro player. You start going through this lineup. Jake Brown's a pro player. Monster Milam's famous. You just have Ethan Fry is a very scary looking guy. With Coastal, it's different, and that's okay. But you know what they remind me more of like a Kentucky offense, where, like, you don't know a lot of their names. I mean, I do, but like the average fan, like, you don't know a lot of their names, right? But they come up with big hits at times, don't have a ton of power. That's kind of what they remind me of, all right? So as I look at different matchups and consider some of the advantages, this is a big one for me. LSU's pitching versus Coastal Carolina's offense is a mismatch. Now, Doesn't mean Coastal can't or won't score. It's just an obvious edge for LSU, in my opinion. All right. Now, where Coastal makes its living is on the mound, as if you didn't know that. I'm sure it's been talked about all week. All right. They're the number 2 team in the country in ERA, number 3 in WHIP, which is walks and hits per innings pitched, number 7 in walk percentages. So, like, they don't walk a lot of guys, and number 3 in opposing teams' OPS. So, like, they don't allow walks, and they don't allow a lot of like extra base hits. Okay. So it's a good team pitching. All right. But so is LSU. I mean, LSU's right there. I mean, LSU's number 9 in ERA, number 15 in WHIP, number 3 in strikeouts. LSU actually lead. This is crazy. LSU leads the nation in strikeouts for the second straight year in a row. That's wild. The only thing that LSU's noticeably behind Coastal in pitching wise is the walk percentages. LSU is only 145th in the country. They, with an 11.0 walk rate. So now, the way Coastal matches up with LSU is that they have 3 really good starting pitchers. All right, Jacob Morrison, Caden Flukie, and is it Riley Eichhoff? They have started 50 of Coastal's 67 games. All right, so like they know what they have. Their stats are gaudy, and it's 2 lefty relievers who are really their best pitchers in my opinion. But like they have 2 lefties and 2 righties in that bullpen, and they will go to any of the 4 at any time based on the matchup. It's not like, these 2 are always the ones they're going to, whether it's Hayden Johnson or oh my goodness, with Dominic Carbone, Ryan Lynch, who I think is more like Ryan Lynch has 9 saves on the year, got a .58 ERA, just like a right-handed pitcher that throws a lot of sliders. And then the other one, I said there's another righty, didn't I? Matthew Potok, who's thrown 35 innings, 2.52 ERA. So, like, that's the thing about them. They've got 3 starting pitchers, and they'll use their starters in a relief role if they need to. All right. Game 1 of the College World Series, they started Eichhoff, who's their number 3, and they brought in Flukie in relief in like the 5th inning. The Coastal coaches already announced that Caden Flukie will start Game 1 against LSU. So, but whether they use, I don't know if Eichhoff's ready. He just pitched against Louisville, so I don't know if he's ready to come in relief. But they've got 4 relievers and they trust them all. So, but that's their circle. Everybody's got good numbers on that staff, but like the 2 right-handers, Lynch, Potok, and then 2 lefties, Carbone and Hayden Johnson is more of a pro prospect to me. Those, mid-90s, I think that's the better of the lefties, but they're all good. Okay. Now we hear a lot about Coastal's defense, but like, to be honest, it's not spectacular. I mean, all you hear all week is like they play great defense, they get on base, and they pitch well. Yeah, a lot of that's true, but like they're the outside of Louisville, they're the lowest fielding team in the College World Series. Like LSU's fielding 981. They're number 10 in the country. Coastal's at 28th. They're 977. So they're good, but like, if you look around that infield, like I don't who would you take over any of LSU's infielders defensively, at least? I don't know. But now Bodine is a difference maker at catcher, and he does change things because he's able to get a lot of strikes that aren't strikes. He's going to keep the ball in front, but I think he was probably more of a factor against some of these other teams like Oregon State, Louisville, Arizona actually stole on him. But like LSU doesn't run, and it drives me crazy sometimes because when they get the leadoff guy on, I want him to get to second, but we just don't run. So, but look, it's going to be mano a mano. You're going to have Cade Anderson against Caden Flukie. You're going to have Anthony Ianson against Jacob Morrison. And then you're going to have, who knows if there's a game 3, but that's going to be interesting, like always, because we're always wondering what happens. Do you bring – and I think this is what you do still. I think you have options, but like if Cade Anderson gives you 7 innings again, you can go to Chase Shores out the pen and have all confidence in the world that he can give you an inning or two. If you want to go to Kason Evans to close it, you can. And that doesn't mean you're spent now for game 2 because you still have got arms ready to go. Whether it's going from Ianson to Cooper Williams or Newt, I don't know if Colin's going to be ready game 2, but you've got options. Jacob Myers. So I love where this offense is right now. I love where the pitching staff is. The defense continues to play well. And I am so sick of hearing about Coastal Carolina, folks. This LSU team has been gearing up to face teams like Arkansas and Tennessee and, Texas A&M's offense. Like, I'm very, very confident in this pitching staff's ability to get Coastal Carolina out if, and this is a big if they continue to throw strikes and not give up free passes. I think that this is a potential, 2-game series. I really do. I just really, really believe that. While Coastal's pitching is good, they're not going to throw anybody out there that LSU hasn't seen. I mean, they're not throwing a Liam Doyle at you. They're not throwing a Zach Root at you, I don't think. A Gabe Gackle, Marcus Phillips. I like Flukie. I think he's good. I think Morrison's very good. But, these are guys mid-90s with a good breaking ball. And the good news is they're right-handed, so LSU doesn't have to worry about left-handed until they go to the bullpen. So, anyway, if you can tell, I'm extremely confident. I always get sick to my stomach and nervous when the game times start, but I am truly, truly, extremely confident right now. I think that whether it's the nation that's pulling for Coastal Carolina right now and they've got all the hype behind them and the momentum, I just don't think that's going to matter going up against LSU. I really don't. And look, who knows? LSU's got so much coming back next year. I've talked about this. This is going to be a stacked team. Coastal's got all those pitchers I talked about are all sophomores, all return except for Jacob Morrison, who's their Sun Belt pitcher of the year, who's going to be pitching game 2. But everybody else is a sophomore, not draft eligible. So this might be the beginning of a good rivalry going forward. That's all I got today. Cannot wait for these finals, and I will be back when this finals is over, and hopefully we will be talking about the 2025 national champion LSU Tigers. Going to be a fun series. I cannot wait. As always, thank you so much for joining, and we will talk to you very soon.